This is Rummy's Corner.
How can we fix professional boxing? If you ask anyone who has even the slightest interest in professional boxing, be it someone with a passing interest who maybe watches a mega match every 1 or 2 years, or a casual fan who catches a few big fights a year, or an invested fan who watches boxing at least once a month, or a die-hard boxing fanatic who cannot get enough of the sweet science. Ask any one of these individuals what the biggest problem is for the sport, and the number one answer will invariably be, there are too many damn belts. Ain't that the truth? Today we have a great abundance of alphabet soup, and it gets to the point where even die-hard boxing fans have trouble keeping up with the various champions from the great abundance of different weight classes. Today we have 4 so-called major world championships in each division. The WBA, which evolved into its modern form all the way back in 1962. Then you have the WBC, which was established a year later in 1963. As if 2 alphabet bodies were not bad enough, the IBF eventually joined the party in 1983. And finally, the WBO came into existence in 1988, but it was not recognized as a major world title throughout the 1990s and early 2000s. And if there was a tangible point in time where it became recognized as a major world title, that would have to be back when Bernard Hopkins became the godfather of the modern 4-belt era after he stopped Oscar De La Hoya. Too many damn belts. So how do we fix it? In an ideal world, all 4 belts get abolished, and we start from scratch with one universal belt to rule them all. It would also be nice to drop back down to 8 or 9 divisions, but today we're focusing on too many belts. It's a pipe dream, of course, but as a quasi-plausible scenario, maybe someone like CanTurki Al-Sheikh can buy out the Alphabet Gang and establish a working model that is predicated on one world champion per division. But what are some practical solutions? With 4 alphabet bodies, at any given point in time, there can theoretically be 4 different champions with 40 different top 10 contenders within a single weight class. That's absurd. Of course, there is usually some degree of overlap, because fighters with big backing can hedge their bets and pay the sanctioning vig to multiple bodies in order to provide options and leverage when carving a career path. There is a reason that if you look at the ratings from TBRB and Ring Magazine and ESPN, there is a greater consensus and a truer representation of an accurate top 10 assessment because they rank based on merit, like it should be. Compare any alphabet rankings to TBRB, Ring, and ESPN, and the latter 3 will always have a better list. And that's a big problem with the big 4 alphabet outfits. They are charging for the right to be ranked and to remain ranked, which inherently stinks of the perception of quid pro quo. On top of that, these 4 so-called not-for-profit organizations don't need to be stealing purse percentages when it should clearly be a reasonable flat fee, regardless of what the fighters are earning. So a practical thing that can fix boxing would be if these non-profit alphabet bodies started trimming the fat on their expenses, which presumably go to a bunch of overpaid suits on the board. And they should start ranking based on merit. But they aren't based on merit, at least not exclusively. Of that there can be no doubt. Then you have the peculiar practice that one sanctioning body will almost always refuse to rank champions from other sanctioning bodies. I understand that this is a long-running practice, where the 4 non-profit members of the Alphabet Gang have an unspoken silent agreement here, usually, because there are exceptions, such as back in 2015 when Adonis Stevenson was the WBC champion, and his number 1 mandatory challenger was Sergey Kovalev, who at that time was in possession of the WBA, the IBF, and the WBO. But what kind of sense does this long-standing practice make? Fury is the WBC heavyweight champion right now. Why the hell shouldn't Usyk be his mandatory? And why the hell shouldn't Fury be Usyk's mandatory for the other three? Thankfully, this one is coming together. Thank you, Turki Al-Sheikh. Please let the fight happen, and let it not end in a draw, so that we finally have an undisputed world heavyweight champion for the first time since the great Lennox Lewis last held that distinction 24 damn years ago. Even if that happens, however, the IBF has preemptively told us that should there be a rematch, which is extremely likely, that they will strip the winner, thus spoiling the party before it even began. It's a bullshit move on the part of the IBF. They haven't enforced a mandatory in years. What's another 6 months? We're going to have our first undisputed world heavyweight champion in almost a quarter of a century, and they're fucking it all up because they'd prefer the winner face Hrgovic instead of having a return bout? It's crazy. Getting back on track, those are two practical and reasonable moves that would instantly help boxing. The Alphabet Gang should be ranking boxers based exclusively on merit, and they should absolutely be ranking champions from other organizations. It's ridiculous that they do not, and only adds to the perception that the Alphabet Gang are shady and greedy and dishonorable at best. Rank fighters based strictly on merit, and obviously, a champion from another member of the Alphabet Gang should inherently be ranked. This is basic common sense stuff. As a final idea on the matter, knowing that the Alphabet Gang won't simply vanish into thin air, being replaced by one belt to rule them all, I propose that a cool compromise might be for the four organizations to unite as one. They could each keep one belt as a minor world belt, in a world where being a minor champion would be a rare thing in itself. And once a year, one of the minor champions will get the chance to face the one and only undisputed world champion, the only major championship in each division. The way things are now, with most top boxers fighting once a year, twice at most, and with the so-called rotation of whose mandatory goes next, just let the reigning minor champion get his shot. It can be the WBA 1 year, WBC the next, IBF after that, and the WBO after that. Realistically, just looking at heavyweight, the enforcement of mandatories takes years as it is. Usyk defended the WBA last August for the first time in almost 5 years, since AJ stopped Povetkin. The IBF has not enforced a mandatory since AJ beat Pulev back in 2020. The WBO has not enforced one since Usyk first beat AJ in 2021. And the WBC has not enforced one since Fury beat White nearly 2 years ago now. Look, I know this is all a gigantic smoky pipe dream, but one can dream. One can dream. Help us, Turki Al-Sheikh. You're our only hope. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful night. This is Rummy's Corner.
What if there was a power sharing situation?
Power sharing.
You all were in charge equally.
What's this, the fucking UN now?